Good morning and welcome to this week's vlog. The plan for today is I want to try and get the chillies into the ground in the greenhouse, which means there's going to be a lot of moving around to be done. Also, I've got no room left in the polytunnel for sowing any more seeds, so we're going to have to shuffle things around. Here we have the chilli plants. Got some smaller ones that I'm going to keep at home in the heated greenhouse at home and grow them throughout the year. But all the larger ones are going in this bed here, which obviously means I'm going to have to rehome the potatoes, which I'm planning on putting in the polytunnel, but I've got to move the staging at the back to make room for them. To make room for the potato sacks, I've got to clear this back area up here. Most of the pots and crates I can reposition into the greenhouse, and I reckon I should be able to get all the bags along there. And I've also noticed that there are a few volunteer tomato plants coming up, just dotted around here and there. There we go, there's quite a few there, 4 or 5 there. So I'm just going to leave those to grow on and see what comes with them. I've made some good progress. I've managed to get myself a little working area here, and I've cleared all the rubbish. I got rid of the blowaway tunnel from here. I've just stood up the pallet collars because I'm tired of tripping over them, and so the potatoes are going to go along there. And I've also just made some very simple hanging shelves. All I've done is put some wire around an old crate for this one, and I've got a bit of a tri-wall polycarbonate, so just run that down there. This one's not quite as thick, so what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to replace the polycarbonate and just put planks of wood across, and then I've just knocked a nail in the end, so when it comes time to take them down I can just unwrap the wire and put them away. So we've got sort of a floating shelf system, which has pretty much added another 50% onto my storage area. Got all this down here, so I'm just going to get the potatoes shifted, and then I can get onto the main job of the day, which is putting the chillies in. The blue potato bags are heavy, I'll tell you something. It wasn't easy, especially the 3 bigger ones when they're full of compost. What I've been doing over the past couple of days, I've been sieving compost for the raised bed, and this is all the fibrous material that has come out of the compost. So all I've done is used it as a mulch to top up the potatoes. So now everything's sorted inside the polytunnel. I'm going to give everything a good watering, and I'm going to move on to the greenhouse. And also, while I was in here, I found a bag of sieved wood chip and a bag of homemade compost that are fairly dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sieve those into the raised bed, and that should bring it up to its final level. And then I've got some carrots at home that I'm pre-chitting, so hopefully with a bit of luck they can go in tomorrow. With the potato sacks removed, you can see we're just starting to get some weed growth. I think that's couch grass. It's coming through the back as well. So what I'm going to do in the dock, I'm just going to dig out the weeds, and I've got some 6X manure. I've got some bloodfish and bone and some farmyard manure pellets. So I'm just going to dig it all over, give it a good watering, and I'm going to put the chillies in. I imagine I'm probably going to be able to get 7 or 8 along there, and then when I take the slabs up on this side I can get 4 or 5 tomato plants down there, and that'll be the greenhouse full. But I'm going to keep the staging up for now because that'll give me more room to bring some more seedlings down once they germinate. So we'll just get on with that now. I've added all the soil amendments. Probably put 3 or 4 handfuls of the 6X because you don't need to use a lot. A couple of handfuls of chicken manure pellets and a sprinkling of bloodfish and bone. I'm going to work that into the soil, and then when I put each of the chillies in, I'm also going to put a few chicken manure pellets, a little blood fishing bone in the hole. But I'm just going to work all that into the soil now and then start on positioning the chillies. I planted the first 3, but my phone switched to photo mode, so I'm going to get the I'll just plant this next one here, and then I'll come back to you when I've finished. I've got in 2 Havana Gold, sorry, one Havana Gold and 2 Bishop's Crown. And the Bishop's Crown was the chilli that I enjoyed most last year, so I've grown 2 plants of that this year. So anyway, let's get the next one in, which is a Scotch bonnet. I'm just going to dig a decent sized hole. Check the pot. Bit of blood fishing bone. Not too much. Put that in. There we go. You can see it's got reasonable roots on it. And just tuck it in. And that's all there is to it. And as you can see, this one's started to flower already, so I'm just going to take the flower off so it'll concentrate on growing roots. There we go. Right, I'll just get the rest of them in and I shall come back to you. And that's chimneys all in. Space them out as evenly as I can. Some are probably a little bit too close, but they'll sort themselves out in time. So that's half the greenhouse planted up. So that's one job that I wanted to get done today. That we finished. It's quite warm in here already, so I'm just going to shut the door over and let them get settled in. So I've got my apprentice with me today. He's doing a little bit of potting on. We're potting on the sweet peppers, and what I'm going to do now while my wife is potting on, so I'm going to sort out the rest of the wood chip. I've done a small section yesterday and it really does make a big difference, but I've got plenty more to go at. And also I managed to fill the planter, and I've put the wood chip round here, so that's full to the top now. I've just left the cover on to heat the ground up, and as I say, I've got some carrots at home that aren't quite ready to come up yet, that have been chitted, but I might just put a couple of rows in of seed that's not been pre-chitted. And I've also got some onions, so I'm going to turn this into an onion bed. I've got some Enviromesh netting at home. I just need to make a frame to cover around the top. So I'm going to get the onions, red Baron. I'm going to get them spaced out and planted in here. But before I do that, I just want to get the last of this wood chip down just to finish the paths off. That's the onions all netted up. Like I say, I'm going to make a proper box, the same as I've got there. I'm going to make one for this bed and one for this bed. Well, all that bed are both the same size. I've got the wood, I've just got to get it all cut down and fitted together. So that's all we've got time for this week. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next week. It's been another very productive weekend down at the plots, and let's hope that next week is just as successful for everyone out there. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.